A very good evening to our viewers. Thank you for making time and be with us tonight on the evening review. My name is Toivon Jabela. Tonight on the platform, we are welcoming back a regular visitor, that is Shaun Gariseb. He's a social justice activist based in Khomas region. He fights a lot of battles in the region. And this week, yesterday, they held a press conference to dealing with the issue of delimitation. As you know, that exercise is going on right now, and in Khomas it has caused quite a stir, and Shaun is here to help us understand. Thank you for making time again, Shaun. If you can first and foremost reflect on what the press conference yesterday was about.
Thank you, Toys. Like you rightfully say, these fights, sometimes they fight you back.
Yeah.
But yeah, the press conference that we had yesterday in Katutura Dolam at the playground was about what transpired when the Delimitations Commission was supposed to have a consultation at the Khomas Region Hall. That was the previous week, Friday, the 13th of June. Maybe for the purpose of context and understanding, I must just clarify that when the consultation was supposed to be held, we attended that consultation, and in attendance was also the 10 councillors of the 10 various constituencies in Khomas region. So the commission was there, and then the governor was also in attendance. What then happened was that what we were under the impression that these consultations were supposed to take place in the communities. That was our understanding, but that was not the case. So we converged there. Most of us were probably from Katutura Central East, and also from Tobias Henyoko and Samora Machel and what is the other constituency? Moses Garoeb. I think those were the people that were mostly in attendance, but the most of the people in attendance were just officials. So what I then picked up prior to that day was that I picked up that there was a map drawn. There was a map drawn that reflects the boundaries of Khomas region.
Yeah.
So when we went there, I had this reservation about this map. I did not know that there was also a proposal. So after protocol was established, I wanted to understand the clarity, understand the meaning of that map. So I intervened, and when in intervening, I was told by the director of ceremonies, which was the CRO of the Khomas region. He said that he's going to give me a chance after the tea break. And after the tea break, I stood up again, and I was told that I should sit because the time is limited and the governor has to make a presentation. And the governor's presentation was exactly what I had concerns about, or the concerns I wanted to raise. But he said, mine is a submission. I said, no, it's not a submission, it's a principal concern that I have. And then the governor made her presentation, and everybody in the room was shocked because the presentation and the proposal, I have it here, I share a document with you, was such that it appeared it was after consultations. And she made a representation of a map. I had the map. Unfortunately, that one map that I took it in Katutura East when there was a consultation on the 11th hour. There were 31 people. So there was a copy of a map shared by that councillor. We used our Katutura manners to disappear like a ghost with that map. So I was having the privilege of having that copy. I made many copies and I gave to people yesterday at the press conference. So what then after that, quickly, what transpired was that I was given a chance by the chairperson. Chairperson said that I had raised an arm earlier, and then I stood up and I raised my reservations. I asked, why is the city of Windhoek not in attendance if the boundaries have been extended? Why were we never consulted? Where are the annexures and the supporting documents that have been spoken about in this submission? Then the chairperson allowed the councillors to speak. 3/4 councillors spoke. All of them spoke something totally different to what is here. When asked about consultations, for example, people that are presiding over 92,000 people only consulted 10 people. People presiding over 67,000 people only consulted 6 to 8 people or 60 people. So those concerns, the chairperson then halted the whole proceedings. And it's against that background. Even our traditional authority was not consulted. They were in attendance. They were not acknowledged The apology was not extended to them. It's against that background that we had yesterday's press conference.
Wonderful. What specific issues in this delimitation report are unsettling to you?
Yeah, first and foremost, this delimitation commission's provision is a constitutional provision, and it should be respected as such. And it's very clear that consultations are a important factor of that. This delimitation commission only sits once in 10 years, which means should things be done, should boundaries being expanded or reduced, it will have effect for the next 10 years, if not forever. Now, my and our concern here was, because I was not the only one in attendance. There were people from the traditional authority was there. There were people that are concerned are there. If one looks at this document, you can see expansions that were proposed. They go to they expand until regional borders, until the regional border, which means as a Khomanin myself, Khomanin settlements in Khomas region are affected. And as we know, Khomanin people have been subjected to a systematic exclusion and a deliberate effort to displace them. This displacement has been an issue since after independence as to why the Khomanin people must constantly be there. And by the way, they also have these concerns already with the president and with other stakeholders that have to do with these issues. Now, for them not to be consulted, that is a very serious issue that we don't take lightly. Yeah. So after that sitting, it was very important that we reached out to the traditional leadership, and all of them were in attendance even yesterday. And then we had to make a point that now we must register our disappointment, and then we must ask for an apology from the governor, and somebody must answer as to who compiled this document and what is the intention of this document. Because if I don't make that intervention, this document is sailing through, and we are subjected to this demarcation and boundaries forever. That is the problem.
Tell me, Shaun. So the Khomanin people are mostly confined to Khomas, no?
Yes.
So these political boundaries, in what way do they affect your community as a traditional people? Because even if it says Moses Garweb and Samara Machel, these are the new boundaries at political level, at a traditional level, you are still under the same leadership. Why is that an issue?
No. It does not remain like that, because first and foremost, we allow this document to sail through. Yeah. With that understanding or thinking, because we have done that in the past. And then what happens thereafter? Because first, you must also remember, just look at the writing of this document, Khomas Regional Council. We also have our own views. This document does not speak one time about the renaming of any historical site or any honoring of Khomanin traditional sites, places and things that we have in view. We also want this name to change, to be properly represented. Nobody does that. Nobody is owning up to this document. So in respect of what you are asking is that, Twibo, first is this regional, how can I say, perception of borders, and then it becomes municipal. When municipal boundaries expand and extend, and I've seen a document from 5 to 7 years ago where similar proposals are done, then the traditional authority loses authority over those boundaries or over those areas that they preside over. So it is not something to take lightly, and it is not something that we must look on the other side for, because when these boundaries expand into these settlements and in these farms in the Khomas region, what then happens is people will be subjected to municipal bylaws. And you already know the problems I have with a city of Windhoek and their way of conducting things. Now you imagine these downtrodden people who have been excluded from things already, being subjected to some of these municipal bylaws and these municipal rates and taxes and so forth. So that is what will happen, and it has already happened in areas like Khurot Ob. You see, that is so. Those are some of the concerns that we have.
Because I see the specific recommendations according to this document by the Regional Council, the Khomas Regional Council. In Samara Machel, for example, it talks about waive a portion of the constituency to John Pandeni. In Tobias Ainyoko, it says expand the constituency boundaries up to the borders of Khomas to Endoshodonjupa. Moses Garweb, very interesting, expand the constituency boundaries until the borders of Khomas and Erongo regions, and so forth and so forth. So what it means is that the number of constituencies will remain the same, the number of the region itself, the boundaries of the region remain the same, but constituencies where the altercations are taking place is where they are changing things. So is there, for example, a specific issue? Because, in fact, let me put it this way. If you were consulted by these guys, what are some of the recommendations that you would have proposed to them?
Boss, if you, for example, look at Khomas Dal constituency, it says the expansion will be until at Khomas Dal Erongo region border.
Yeah.
If you go into Khomas Dal, if you go to the people of Khomas Dal, those people will tell you that they want to be divided from Ochomise, Axteland, Ochomise, those areas, so that they can have Khomas Dal proper as it was. This constituency is having 67,000 people. It's because it's expanded to that. There is no need for those two constituencies to be together, because these two constituencies, these kinds of things, the constituency office of Khomas Dal constituency is in Ochomise. What this now means is the people on Khomas Dal proper are excluded. Now, when the Khomas Dal constituency councillor was making presentation, he was totally aware of what is going on in Khomas Dal proper, to the extent that he even admitted that he's from Swakopmund. Now, for somebody who's not even from that area to come and decide as to portions must be given or donated or taken away, it does not reflect the will of the people on the ground. That's why there must be consultations, so that the people can say, we want to stay as we are, or we are not having a problem with expanding. In Katutura Central, for example, if you go to Katutura Central, it's very painful what is transpiring there. Katutura predominantly is the first area of Katutura. Katutura Central is like that, and its segregation was because of how times were. Now, if you go to Katutura from single quarters, if you drive from single quarters until Shandubala, you are going to see a clear picture of systematic exclusion and economic exclusion. From single quarter until at the robots of Damara location, you will see people having this cutting machine. You will see it in Shanghai Street and in Clemens Kapoor. But from the robots of Independence until at Khemengde bus stop, you will not see something like that. Do you think that is by chance? It cannot be by chance. All those machinery you see there, they are coming from the constituency office. Why are they coming from the constituency office? That is because of the reality of that office. You see, now that is economic exclusion. It's not by chance that every second house people decide will engage in the same sort of business in terms of cutting meat. No, that's not true. So those are the things we want to address. So we are saying, let the demarcation be either take this area and put it in Katutura East, or take the whole area and put it this side, or create another constituency, so that these things can be fair. Because economic participation is one of the requirements for this commission. And if you make the representations, you clearly see that economic exclusion is at play. There's a councillor who goes on record and he's blaming us for being tribal when we are questioning these things. To the extent that when we are addressing a traditional authority issue, he gets personal with people. That's because I don't blame him, because his orientation is that he's not from the area. He does not even live in that constituency. He probably just lived that time, and now he doesn't understand the modalities of that area, to the extent that they did not see it important to consult the traditional authority. You cannot go and do that in your region, Toevo.
I hear you. So, do you think, for example, Shaun, that there are also politics at play, that people have an eye on the 2025 elections, because the regional and local authority elections will be confined to these boundaries, And if you know, for example, that your supporters are in a particular area and you want to capture them, you can just enclose them into the new boundaries and stuff like that. Do you think that, that there could be manipulations of that nature?
Most definitely, Toivo. That's why you can see nobody's taking ownership to the proposal that is in soft copy and to the mapping. If not so, the governor must tell us who is behind this document. The governor is at that sitting. Even the apology she tendered was malafide. It was not honest. It was not. I mean, it was not genuine, because had it been genuine, she could have initiated it. This was not initiated by the governor. It was the chairperson who gave the governor a chance to do this. And after that, the governor never came to apologize to these institutions that I'm talking about, the traditional authorities and the people of Khomas region. Not only constituency of, or not only people that are inhabitantly Khomani people. There are also people, like I spoke about, the Khomas Dal people and people in. When we were there, the people of Tobias and Nyoko had a very big problem. They were divided. The people were saying, you only consulted CDC members. So the rejection was not only from a certain kind of people. So it's very clear these are politically thought out boundaries. That is what we say. Until we are told otherwise, it remains like that, and we don't have confidence in the governor's office anymore pertaining to this issue, and in all those 10 councillors. As long as they don't apologize, we are not going to do or make our submissions through those people.
Wonderful. We go for a break and then return with Shaun Gariseb.
The Ministry of Environment, Forestry and Tourism, in collaboration with the Namibia Tourism Board and the Ondonga Traditional Authority, will be hosting the Itotha Carnival at the Kangonde Sotpan in the Oshikoto region from 27th June to 1st July 2024. Expect a fun-filled weekend including traditional dishes, cookout competitions, totem parades, traditional games, horse riding, skydiving and quad biking. Accommodation facilities will be available at cost. The Itotha Carnival, celebrating our ancient heritage.
The conversation continues on the evening review with Shaun Gariseb. Now, Shaun, is it the Queen of the
Khomanin is.
Yeah. What is her attitude when she hears this? Because it's not somebody that we really get to speak a lot to. We don't see her speaking in the media or anything, and I'm always very curious as to what type of leader she is, and when things like this happen, what kind of attitude she adopts towards those.
Yeah, look, not that I want to speak on her behalf, but her disappointment is tangible. Hence, there were traditional leaders. Her principal advisor was in attendance, Mr. Walter Haseb, and senior traditional leaders were also in attendance. She was also in attendance at the consultation. She was there. There was no apology extended to her, at least at that platform. So the reason why the reason why I'm saying her disappointment is tangible is because the traditional authority through the Queen have already registered these concerns to the President's office, and those concerns are at the President's office, and they are pertaining to the landless people in the Khomas region. And these efforts, like I previously said, they have been. In my research, I've seen that there have been proposals in the past that are of this nature. So the Queen has already pronounced herself on these issues, and it's just disappointing that they, without even consulting them, wanted to go ahead with this. This is bordering on attempted murder of a tribe. You see, this is of a clan. It is attempted murder. Well, if we were not there, they were going to murder us. They were going to let us go out of this. They were going to displace us strategically. That is what it is. There's no other way you can look at it. If honestly speaking, you cannot just go in any tribal area, and we ought to know 34 years after independence that the Khomas region is different from other regions because of the people that find themselves in the region, and Windhoek being the capital city. So the approach ought to have been serious and to have been done differently.
Sensitive.
Yes.
Yeah.
It must be sensitive. That is the correct way.
Yeah. The point that you mentioned earlier is very important around new boundaries giving powers away to either the municipality or other authorities and robbing the traditional leaders of that authority. The argument has always been that, some people think that when you argue like that you are stuck in the past, that we must modernize things, we must modernize authorities, and that the people that effect development properly is government and stuff like that. But you have, I had Khomanin traditional leaders on this show, was it sometime last year, and they mentioned something that I thought was shocking, because they were even attributing the situation of the children on the streets to the landless nature of the Khomanin, saying, because those kids are predominantly Damara, and they were just blunt about it. They were saying, look, it's because part of the problem is that people have been displaced, they have nowhere to live, and that's why some of these children find themselves on the street. Do you think that is your observation also?
Yes, Tuego. I've been advocating for generational farm workers for the past 7 to 8 years. If there was provision or there was resolution to that effect in the first and the second land conference, you know what happens there is that people work for 30 years and then they are thrown out in the corridors. From those corridors, they live there, their livestock die out. Where do they come to? They come to Windhoek, and then in Windhoek, they must come stay at family backyard. From that backyard, they go to the outskirts of Windhoek. That is the reality. These people, this generation of farm workers, despite there being a resolution, that resolution is not implemented, it is being ignored. Ancestral Land Commission was there, the resolutions are being ignored. Now, these Khomanin people, if you are to do these kinds of things, these kinds of tricks, then why are you not giving them land? Why are you not giving them land? Then you must give them land elsewhere and say, we are going to resettle you to proper land, proper space. Then we can say, no, it's fine. It's because under the circumstances, it is understandable what we find. But we are the original inhabitants of this region. For a governor to come from Omaheke and come and just decide with a paper that we must be displaced, it's unacceptable. We cannot keep quiet and look the other way while this is happening. She knows that this document is very dangerous. This document must be. It's painful. When one traditional leader was narrating the history yesterday, some people almost turned into. They were crying. They were crying because they feel, why should they be treated like this in their own country?
Absolutely. So, did you say now that the process has been halted and that there will be now a renewed process of consultation, or what are you hearing?
Look, what the chairperson did was he gave them 2 weeks. We gave them 2 weeks, but yesterday I understand that written submissions must be given in by this Friday. So what that does not speak to the reality, because like I said, we only had a press conference yesterday and we are reaching out to people so that they can. We're also raising awareness so that people can stand up. If you are in Tobias and Nyoko, wherever, you must stand up and you must be consulted, and so you must give your views. That is what it must be. But as we are going to have our submissions and our submit, because it's impossible to give our submissions this Friday when we are only consulting the wider community on Sunday. Even the councillors, like our councillor is only going to see people over the weekend. Other councillors is the following week. So it's just the written submissions will not just. Some of us have already had written submissions, but even with those written submissions, we went to learn that there's a way you must do that. So they must tell us what, like drawing of a map. We didn't know that. So which means if I was giving in my copy, here is my copy. If I was giving in my copy with this proposal, which one is going to win? This one is coming from the governor and her councillors. So me is just an ordinary resident and a common inhabitant. this thing was going to be declared as not not meeting the requirement because I'm not consulted and given clarity as to how I must put it. Do you see that? So those are the things that we must first get. So we're also going to write to the commission and tell them, Commission, you gave us 2 weeks. The consultation with the community was only on Sunday. So this Friday thing you are talking about will not work.
Yeah. Do you think that the Delimitation Commission must pay particular attention to ancestral land, especially in this region? Because that topic of ancestral land also remains very hot in our country. It's often brushed aside, but it seems that there are people who are negatively really affected by this issue.
Yes, most definitely. You were talking about, I think it's Samora Machel or the Tobias Henyoko, which will extend until at Ojosonjuba region.
Yes.
The Khomanin people just last year, they went to demarcate a site of Omang Hones. It is a site of a grave of an old grandmother who has been there for years and years. Now, those kinds of sacred sites, if you are sitting with ignorant councillors like this, presiding and deciding over such important things, you'll nullify that importance of our history. So it's very important that the commission is cognizant of this ancestral land, because there are many ancestral monuments and sites and places of ancestral value and importance in Khomas region. And for people to ignore that, we are not going to allow that anymore. So the commission must take cognizance of that, and they must consult our traditional leaders so that this can be correctly and seriously recorded.
The final question to you, Shaun, then is: do you have, as a community, as activists in that space, do you have a problem or any concerns with the current demarcations? If they were to be maintained, for argument's sake, would you have an issue with that? Or do you want change, but not the one that is being proposed?
Yeah, we want, like you see, we have a problem. We have a problem. One councillor was asked, he was saying he gave a certain portion of Tobias Henyoko, I think it's freedom land. Yeah, freedom land. He was told the directive was not to go and give land, it was going to consult the people. So we want to be consulted, because every community, all the communities, not only our community, even Samora Machel, all the people have what they think will work. Because we are on the ground, we are the communities on the ground. If there was a commissioner who was jokingly saying that the demarcations are so geographically not working that sometimes the demarcation goes through a house and even through the bedroom, that they divide the bedroom. You see, even the bed. So that is the extent. We have our reservations. This map is not. And we will make sure at the next sitting that there are no funny things like that. There are no funny maps. And I will stand up again, and then I will first establish that after protocol is established. But we have a problem with this map. It must never be adopted. People must be consulted, and the people must speak for themselves.
I thought the previous one was going to be the last question, but I have one brief one to you. Is Shaun Gariseb a man who just complains about everything? You are a troublemaker. You are because you are fighting Red Force. You are fighting the municipality on many issues. Now you are fighting the commission. Is it just a man who likes to be opposed to anything, or or is it a principled difference to what is happening?
Shaun Gariseb is a guy who does many things. On Saturday, 22nd, I'm in Okahanja at informal settlements. We'll be having sanitary pads. I bring them artists. It's just that my activism is like a guerrilla. You see, I come while you don't expect me. Because you see, if you go and research for over 12 years, I've been saying things. I'm a writer. I write things. I've been at the, and I'm a civil servant, and I work with indigent people. So I know these things. I've been at the forefront of these kinds of things for a long time. It's just that it becomes agitating when you are correctly fighting things. I always, when I speak with some of my activist friends, I sometimes tell them that when fights are not having probability of success, let's abandon them so that we can first correct our angle. So as a guerrilla fighter in activism, you will just find me, and when I fight, I know that we are going to win, because we don't fight things that are just for populism. We fight things that we fight for justice, for a purpose. It's my life.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Thank you. Thank you, Shaun, for coming.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, brother. That's Shaun Gariseb speaking to us on the evening review today about concerns that he and many others in Katutura have, or in Khomas rather, have around the demarcations and delimitation of Khomas region. Thank you for watching.